In this lesson, we'll be painting old weathered barnwood. Your first step is to draw this on watercolor paper. You'll see a line drawing in Blackboard for your reference. We'll go from this to this. The colors we'll be using for this project are lamp black, mauve, burnt umber, burnt sienna, yellow ochre, ultramarine blue, cobalt blue, and white. To begin, we're going to mix 3 different grays. In one of them, I'll add cobalt blue. Another one, I'll add burnt sienna. And one, I'll add burnt umber. I'll start by lightly wetting the surface with clean water. Then using all 3 grays, I'll quickly lay in some texture. Now I'll mix a temperature color using cobalt blue and some of the base gray. I'll add some of this temperature color very sparingly. Then using a paper towel, I'll blot some of the paint off to give it more texture. Then I'll go back to the original 3 colors and do another overlay to add more texture. Now I'm going to mix some lamp black with some ultramarine blue. Once the previous step has dried, I'll go in with the black and I'll paint in between the boards. I'll also paint the area around the boards. Be sure not to paint the black underneath the horizontals or on the diagonal. This black is supposed to represent the spaces that are between each board. Now I'll create a shadow wash from this color by adding a lot of water. I'll use this shadow wash and I'll paint some graining on the boards. Use the graining very sparingly and keep it as vertical as possible in the direction of the boards. Also go in and apply some graining to the diagonal and the horizontal boards. Now I'll mix a highlight color using some white and the lightest of the base gray color. I'll keep the consistency pretty thick on this color, and I'll go in and I'll dry brush over top of the boards. This will add more texture and also tone down some of the graining. Now I'll mix some more highlight, but just add more white to it. I'll establish the light source. For this painting, it comes from the top left. Now I'll add the highlights that are facing towards the light source. I'm adding more white to the highlight, just so that it stands out more. I'll continue to add the highlight in all the areas that are facing towards the light source. So on top of the horizontals, on the left side of each board, and also on that diagonal board. Here I'm using some straight white right out of the tube, and I'm highlighting a few more areas, and also dry brushing some of the boards for texture. Now I'll mix a low light color using ultramarine blue and some burnt umber. I'll also mix in a little bit of water. I'll apply this color on all the boards facing away from the light source. So on the right hand side of each board and underneath the horizontals. I'll also add that low light underneath the diagonal board. Here I'm just going back in with that black color, just touching up some of the boards. Now I'll mix a shadow wash with the ultramarine blue, some black, and some water. I'll use this shadow wash to cast shadows underneath the horizontals and the diagonal to give this painting more depth. By casting these shadows, it gives these boards the illusion of being protruding or sticking out from the rest of the surface. Now using that toothbrush, I'll dip it into this shadow wash, test it out, and then I'll flick some paint onto the surface. This will add more texture to these old weathered boards. As an optional step, I'll go back in with some colored pencils, burnt sienna, white, orange, orange yellow, and blue. I'll lightly add these temperature colors, giving the barnwood more visual interest and some more dimension. That's it. You're done.